Welcome back to Phoenix English classes. Today we are going to start with the fourth part of this chapter, which is entitled Indigo. This is chapter number 5 in the book Flamingo. So without much ado, let's start with the text. Find the text in your book and follow the lines as I read. Most of the arable land in the Champaran district was divided into large estates owned by Englishmen and worked by Indian tenants. This was the real situation, this was the ground situation, ground zero situation of the sharecroppers in Champaran. Most of the arable land, arable means the land which is good for harvesting, for cropping, for agriculture. All the land that was arable, all the land that was worth farming was in the hands of the estates. Estates means there are landlords, and at that time in place of landlords there were other feudal lords. Those were Englishmen. The Englishmen acquired big pieces of land and they call it estate, Jagir. There were small pieces of land in the hands of the peasants, in the hands of the Indian peasants, and it was under the ownership of all those Englishmen who were holding big estates in the district Champaran. And the whole land that could be used for agriculture was in the clutches, in the ownership of these estates owned by those Englishmen. Although they were the owner of the land, yet they were very much like the feudal lords. We already have heard or in stories, in the movies, we have already seen what kind of the landlords were there in India. Unfortunately, no cellulite movie shows it. What kind of the feudal lords were the English people? I could never understand the reason behind it, that you show the things that were there in India, but not at so big a scale as it was under the clutches of the Englishmen and their tyrannical rule. Although the lands were under the ownership of these English people, yet the tenants, the farmers or the peasants were Indian people. They were the poor people, they were the sharecroppers. They actually work in the fields and they grow crops for themselves as well as for the landlords, for the Englishmen, for the Indian landlords also, those estate holders. The chief commercial crop was indigo, and in that kind of an arrangement of land in which the whole fertile and arable land was in the hands of the landlords, especially in the hands of the British landlords, the main crop that you can say the cash crop from which ready money can be earned by the farmers, that cash crop was indigo. It was being harvested there. The commercial crop was indigo. The landlords compelled all tenants to plant 3/20 of 15% of their holdings with indigo and surrender the entire indigo harvest as rent. No problem if you are growing the cash crop. If you are growing a commercial crop, it is very good for you, for the farmers as well as for those who are the landlords. But there was a dark side of this arrangement also. There was a contract between the landlords and the sharecroppers and the peasants, the poor farmers, that they had to plant 3/20th. 3/20th means 3 upon 20 of the whole land, or 15%. This is easier to understand. It means if you have a plot of 100 square feet, out of that 115 square feet is necessarily to be planted with indigo. I don't think any bad thing in all these arrangements. If you think about the policy, about this contract, you will hardly see any kind of exploitation hidden in it. Yet there is exploitation methods. 15% of the land was to be reserved for indigo cropping, and on that land, on that very 15% land, whatever is the yield of the indigo crop, that was to be surrendered to the landlord as rent. I don't think any kind of bad thing in such kind of an arrangement if the rent is being taken. Rent means the taxes that we generally pay. If you see the situation of today, of modern India, of the newly developed India, for last 7 years, it has been propagated that India has now started flourishing leaps and bounds. In such kind of India also, even though you are not from the agricultural family, if you are not a farmer, or your family does not belong to the farmer's family, you can understand it very well. If you do a thing that is related to certain kind of yielding or certain kind of income in a country, for being the citizen of the country and being a partaker in the development of the country, you have to pay the taxes. And nowadays we pay taxes up to 40%. If we are not a farmer, even then we have to pay taxes. If you buy a small matchbox of 1 rupee only, you pay tax almost 8 to 10%. So you have to pay on all the sale, all the purchases, all the yieldings of the crop. And at that time it was called the rent. It was farming tax. The easiest word you can understand is lagan. For agriculture it is called lagan, and here it has been called as rent, because the land is the property of the landowner and he lends that land to the tenants, to the farmers, to the peasants to grow crops whatever they want to grow. But 15% of that land is reserved as for paying rent to the landlord, and that should be only be planted with indigo. That was the provision, and you cannot find even one mistake in such kind of an arrangement. But all the policies which are made for the farmers from that period of time till today, I am sure I am saying it positively, has never been in the favor of the farmers. It is only to deceive them that these things are being exhibited. The real thing is behind the curtains, and it comes to fore when the actual things take place and the rent is being paid to the government or the landlords here. See what happens. So this was the arrangement of the sharecropping at that time in Champaran, and the farmers were bound to cultivate, to harvest indigo only. They have to plant indigo in 15% of the land. Whatever they hold, 15% will go to the landlords, because he has given the land to the farmers to grow different crops. If they want, they can grow only indigo on the whole 100% land, and 85% of the crop will be theirs, and 15% will be surrendered to the landlords. This was done by long-term contract. The problem is not in this calculation. 85% is of the farmers, only 15% will be surrendered to the landlords, because the land belongs to the landlord, because the land belongs to the estate. You have to pay that much, only that much, to the estate holder. The second clause is also there. It is not a contract of single clause. There are many clauses in it. I always suspect when there is a provision that is being made either by the companies or by the landlords or by the government of free India, if there are many clauses and sub clauses, it can never be in favor of the poor people, in favor of the common people, in favor of the country gentry. It can never be in favor of them, because in sub clauses there are provisions to exploit them in one way or the other, and that was there. These contracts were long term contracts. Long term means of 20 years, 25 years, 99 years. They were bound to sign those long term contracts. 2 or 3 races would have passed before the contract was over. Presently, the landlords learned that Germany had developed synthetic indigo. The problem began here. First 2 or 3 crops would go better. Certainly, it went better. It was a profitable thing. The peasants were happy, the farmers were happy, and the happier ones were the landlords, because they were earning too much of money from that cash crop. Ultimately, because you see that landlord is becoming richer day by day with the indigo cropping, certainly you will also start cropping the same thing. Presently, the landlords learned that Germany had developed synthetic indigo. Now, the situation was different from when this contract based farming was started. Presently, the situation was that the landlords came to know about synthetic indigo. Up to now, in the whole world, there was a market of indigo that was being cultivated in the farms on the land. It was cultivated by the farmers. But now Germany invented the synthetic indigo that was not only better in quality, but was giving better profit, and it was easy to secrete. The secretion of this synthetic indigo was rather easy, and you need not stake your product under the open sky. They thereupon obtained agreements from the sharecroppers to pay them compensation for being released from the 15% arrangement. As soon as this news came to the landlords that this indigo which we are taking as rent and the farmers of Champaran are sowing it there on our soil is going to become a great loss, because it will not be in demand in coming 1 or 2 years. The market will certainly boom about the synthetic indigo rather than the cultivated indigo. They knew the fact. The information has always been the greater source of power and money, and this information came to the landlords first. The farmers did not know anything about it. They knew that it is going to be a thing of loss for us, and they at once started to propagate another contract, and they started persuading and compelling the farmers again to sign another contract as a supplement contract of that previous one. They said that we can leave this 15% also for you. Although this is very profitable, yet we are ready to leave it in your hands, in the hands of the farmers, so that they can earn more money. The only thing we need is that you have to pay a lump sum amount that was also determined by the landlords to us as compensation, that we are paying the full rent for 25 years, 20 years or 15 years, whatever it was the term of the contract. So we are paying it in full or in parts, and rest of the money we will pay you in due course of time. They started such kind of contract, and they persuaded and compelled the farmers to sign it. And a new provision was there: if you pay this much of money to us, the whole land, the 100% land will be yours, and its yielding will be yours. It is very much like one time settlement today. It is done by the government. When they say they see that the possibilities are very less to get the profit out of those hard hands, they start such schemes of one time payment. If they think that hardly there will be any recovery of the rent, any recovery of the tax, any recovery of the bills, they may be electricity bills, they may be the house rent, the house bills, or house taxes, not house bills, or the water taxes, they start giving such kind of schemes to us: one time payment, pay it one time and enjoy for 25 years. So this was another scheme that was launched in the form of the contract for the farmers. There were many farmers who wanted to enjoy the whole 100% crop for themselves, and they agreed willingly. There were certain who thought we can do it in parts and it will be profitable for us. In the state of some unwillingness, because there was confusion, they signed it. And there were certain who thought landlords can never think of the good of the farmers. How can they be so good that they are releasing us from the contract? There was a point of suspicion in a few of them. They did not sign. If they did not sign, they were compelled to do it. Firm measures were taken against them. Persuasion and exploitation and tactics all were used, and after that there were threatenings. All tactics were used by the sharecroppers to get all the farmers under this new provision that they will pay the compensation for that 15% arrangement in 1 or 2 or 3 installments to the landlords, and the sharecroppers will be responsible, and they will be the owner of the whole 100% yielding of the land. The sharecropping arrangement was irksome to the peasants, and many signed willingly. This sharecropping arrangement, this 15% arrangement, it was really very irksome. It was full of sorrow. It was depressing. Yet many of them willingly signed it because they wanted a release. They wanted to get rid of every year's tenure of their exploitation and threatening and lots of bad things. So they signed it willingly, that we will pay the compensation to you, and whatever we yield on this land, whatever we sow and whatever we harvest on this land, that will be ours, if it is lesser or greater the amount that we think of. Those who registered engaged lawyers, but there were certain farmers who looked at this provision with suspicion. They said we will not sign it, and because they were being compelled to do it, they engaged lawyers. They said, we are not going to sign this new contract anymore. If you want it to be signed by us, first come to the court will decide if we have to sign it or not, because it seems to us that there is some kind of dishonesty in it. The same thing that is going from last 1 year for the good of the farmers by a very good government. You are giving a provision to the farmers which they are not ready to do. They are not willing for that kind of the thing. If you are really a good government, you should listen to the farmers. If there is any problem in their mind, if there is any confusion in the mind of the farmers, who will be the real benefactors or beneficiaries, or they will be the real beneficiaries or the loss holders. Firstly, if you are really a good government, if you are really in favor of the common people, especially in the favor of the farmers, you should go to them, you should persuade them. If there is one suspicion, you have to clear it out first, then you can do anything, because you are in power. We cannot stop you. The same thing happened at that time in Champaran also. Finding no other way to go, the farmers decided to go to the courts, and they engaged lawyers. When they engaged lawyers, the landlords engaged thugs. Justice is another thing that is never done in the courts of justice. This is ironical but true. Justice is really a thing that can be debated for as long as the time itself exists, especially in the countries like we do have. When the farmers, because they cannot fight with the landlords, they went in the courts of law for justice. When they engaged lawyers for them, the landlords also went to the court, and they engaged thugs. There are certain things that can be very bad, so let's not discuss it. Meanwhile, the information about synthetic indigo reached the illiterate peasants who had signed. In the meanwhile, when all this was going on, there were certain farmers who had willingly signed it. There were certain farmers who were raising suspicion, and they were sure that the previous arrangement was very good. Now we cannot go for the next arrangement, that is in dark, because of the intention of the landlords. The government and landlords are very much like each other. They never think of the people, they never think of the farmers, they never think of the poor people, deprived people. They only act, they only try to exhibit themselves as the good doers of these hard hands, and really they exploit them. It is going on. The agreements, because all the agreements were not signed, there was an issue in the court. In the meanwhile, the news of the synthetic indigo reached the farmers also, and it was a bolt from the blue, especially for those farmers who had already signed the new treaty, the new arrangement, the new contract. Now they came to their senses. What happened to us? First, the farmers who did not sign this new arrangement went to the court that we don't want to sign it. The next case came in the form of the representation of those who had already signed that contract, and they went to the court that this is an exploitation, this is the real thuggy, this is the real cheating game with us. We have been cheated, because the crop that we grow worth nothing. It is not going to be sold in the market because there will be no demand. There is another synthetic indigo that had been invented by Germany, and it will occupy the whole market. The demand will not be of the indigo we are growing nowadays. That was another problem. We have already paid so much of amount, how can we survive now? There was a question of survival. They also went to the court. The illiterate peasants who signed it, they were also very much unhappy, and they also went to the court and they wanted their money back. They went to the court to get their money back that was not taken, but that was being snatched. It was snatched by the landlords from these hard hands. They wanted their money back. They went to the court to get their money back, and the previous ones, they went to the court not to give money and not to contract, not to sign the another contract that was in the dark. At this point, Gandhi arrived in Champaran. This was the real situation of Champaran when Gandhiji arrived on the scene. Now, Gandhiji was there in Champaran to help these sharecroppers, and before doing anything, Gandhiji wanted to study the whole affair, the whole matter, and he wanted to do it personally. So, Gandhiji was there, and now he was in Muzaffarpur, where J.B. Kriplani had received him, and a number of villagers from Champaran paid a visit to Gandhiji, because they knew there is a Mahatma, there is a leader who has come for us to favor us against this kind of a contract which is going to crush us down. There was only one ray of hope, that was Gandhiji, and as soon as his arrival was there in Champaran, everybody among those sharecroppers, among those poor peasants, felt and thought that there is a ray of hope. We will stop here, and from next turn we will try to finish this chapter. Till then, keep studying. If you have any problem, write to me on my personal WhatsApp number, or you can write it in the comment box also. Till then, remain at home, keep studying. Goodbye.